Hi, it's Phil here from Spokes Education. We've been doing a series on processes and looking at how we develop an e-learning course, primarily in Storyline. But today we're going to tell you a little bit about how we prepare our audio. So when we get an audio file from a voiceover artist, sometimes they split it and prepare it all for us. Sometimes they just give us a raw file and it's up to us to split it and prepare it and get it ready to go into Storyline. What we normally do is in the draft stages of the course development, we'll use the text-to-speech function within Storyline just as a draft, so that the client can listen to it, make sure the script is all right before we send it off to get recorded. In the later stages, once the kind of script's agreed, we'll send it off. We'll pick a voiceover artist. The client will pick a voiceover artist from our library. We've got an extensive library of really good voiceover artists from all over the world, different accents, different languages, and we'll send them over a script, and they will obviously read the lines and send it back to us. And we're going to show you now what we do with that. So I'm going to jump into my screen. So I'm going to show you how we do this in Audacity. We can also use Audition as well. Depends on the individual's preference, but I'm going to show you Audacity. It's a free tool. You can get it. So even if you're not an Adobe user, you've got a really cool tool that you can use to do this with. And it's really, really simple as well. So I'm showing you now, this is the script that we sent to the voiceover artist. It's actually two-part. So it's a conversation between two different people. And we've highlighted in yellow here the part of Omar, which is the audio we're going to look at. Now what you'll see here is we've got this is an export from our storyboards, and we've got a macro that we run from our Word document that exports the script in this way, and it splits it all up. What we've actually then done is extracted that further and just sent the relevant parts to the voiceover artist. It's a nice little small part just to show you we've got two parts here, but this can be obviously as many as well, you know, it can go into the hundreds sometimes depending on how big the course is. So what we've got then is the script here and the parts of Omar. Now we've got the voiceover file from the voiceover artist that's playing Omar, and I've dropped it into Audacity. Now what you can do is you can either open it through File and Open, or you can just simply drag it in. Just drag it in from your Windows Explorer or whatever it is you use, and then drag that into the file, and it will appear here. Now the first thing we do is normalize it, and this will just make the file consistency. This one looks pretty nice already. It's already pretty consistent, but sometimes you get little pops, you get little kind of peaks where sometimes it's just a little blip in the audio, and sometimes it's just easy to normalize it. It just makes it a little bit smoother. So first thing we do is we select all. We can just do Control A. We go to the effect and go to normalize. We always normalize at -10 dB, and then we click OK, and you can see actually that's increased it a little bit across the board and just changed the wavelengths there. And again, this will just help you to get some consistency in your audio. Now what we're going to do is we're going to split the audio into different parts. So this is actually for an animation. So what I'm going to do is split each bit of audio for each line, and so that the animator can sync it with the animations nice and easily. So the first line is a nice simple one. It's just, "Hi Michael, how are you?" So if we play the audio, you can see here. There we go. It's literally just this little bit here. So what we're going to do is we're going to select the bit we want to highlight, and then we click Control B, and that will create a label track. So now we've got a label. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to give this a naming convention that's going to make sense to me, or let's say make sense to the animator. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to use this reference number. So this is the reference number from the storyboard, 100303A, and pop that in there. And then what I'm going to do is I'm going to put an additional suffix on it. I'm going to put something like Z1, so we know that's the first part of the conversation, because as we can see in the storyboard here, again, it's not always the case, but because we've got multiple things going on, we just need to differentiate. And again, it'll be nice and easy for the animator to kind of go, okay, this is the first part, second part, within this phrasing or within this scene. And once that's done, we can just move on and we can get the next part. So the next part is for Omar, it's this line here, talk about chlorine tablets. So
I'm good as well. Just wanted to stop by and say hi. Have you been using those chlorine tablets?
So again, you can see a pattern here as well. So what we normally do with a voiceover artist as well is to ask them to leave gaps between each line, big gaps between each line. And again, if you do that, sometimes you don't even need to necessarily listen. You can actually put all the labels in place and just do a bit of spot checking as you go through. So I'm going to create another label there. Again, Control V. Let's set the right bit. Control B, sorry, not Control V. 10.03.03. A, and I'm going to call this one Z3 because it's Z2 is actually going to be a different file. So we've got a different voiceover artist playing the part of Michael. So I'm actually going to call that Z2 and this is going to be Z3. Now, again, you can have your own naming conventions. You might want to prefix it with the name Omar or whatever you like, but you know, whatever kind of works for you. And then we could go on so on and so on. I won't go through the whole thing, but I'm going to just create a couple more. Let's call it Z5. I'll just do this last one, just pretend it's not quite right, but just to give you a sense, so you don't watch me do all of this. Let's call that Z7. So now we've got all the labels and we've got all the individual things broken down. I say the more you have, it might get a bit cluttered in here. But what I'm going to do now is I'm going to go to File, Export, and I'm going to export multiple. And we're going to make sure that we're exporting the split files based on labels. Now you can do it on tracks. If you've got multiple tracks, now you can split by multiple tracks. If again, this is useful if you've got, if the voiceover artist sent you lots and lots of tracks, you want to normalize all in one go, you can drop them all in and you can split them all again. Or if you're splitting tracks within, because the other thing you can do is break this up and split them into individual tracks rather than just using the label function. I find it just quicker and easier to do the label function. So we're going to split the files based on the labels we've created. The naming files, we're going to use the label and track name. So we're going to use these labels and then we're just going to simply click export. We're going to pick the folder first, sorry. So we're going to pick a folder. We'll drop it, I'll tell you what, I'll just drop it on my desktop for now. So I'm just going to drop it on my desktop and then we're going to export. Now if we go to our desktop, you'll see we've got the 4 files here. And all individual WAV files, and again what we can do then, we can simply say save them in the right place, make sure they're right there, and then they're ready to go and be dropped into the animation or e-learning. So that's it. That's just how we split our files and how we prepare our files using Audacity. And yeah, if you've got any questions, as always, get in touch. If you want more tips, we'll be doing more of these and talk you through some development processes. And we'll also be doing a few little hints and tips as well, particularly in Storyline. So if you want to subscribe to our channel, please do. Otherwise, we'll see you next time. Thanks a lot. Bye-bye.